You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome back to another enlightening episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and today we have a truly inspiring guest whose multifaceted career and profound insights into entrepreneurship and personal authenticity will leave you motivated and ready to take on this world. Our guest today is an award-winning speaker, best-selling author, and accomplished musician with multiple albums to her credit, which is amazing. I love speaking to artists. Her dynamic career has seen her featured on Disney Plus, and she is also the host of the popular show Creative Freedom. As the founder of ARC Entertainment Media, our guest runs a growth consultancy dedicated to maverick micropreneurs who want to build businesses that align with their unique strengths and personalities. Our guest's philosophy is simple yet powerful. The best way to achieve true success in life and business is to be unapologetic yourself, warts, sparkles, and all. Her mantra, own your dreams without selling your soul, resonates deeply with entrepreneurs who strive to stay true to their values while pursuing their ambitions, and resonates with me 100%. In today's episode, she will share her journey through the world of music, writing, and entrepreneurship. She will offer valuable insights on how to leverage your unique qualities to create a business that not only succeeds, but also fulfills you on a personal level. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned business owner, our guest's wisdom and experience are sure to provide you with actionable advice and inspiration. So please get ready to embrace your true self and learn how to turn your dreams into reality with our amazing guest, Lisa Robbin Young. Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, best intro I've heard in years. Thank you, Phil. I'm excited to be here, and you just turned that up to 11 for me, so thank you.
It's my goal. I always like to notch it up. I always believe in being 11 all the time, so I have to bring the energy to make sure my guest brings that energy. And before we even jumped on the episode, so the people listening, I already knew you had 11 level energy. And I was feeling like you were like just bringing it a little down just in case. So I'm like, nah, we're going to pump it up to 11 because this is going to be a great time, Lisa. So without further ado, Lisa, I want to know, what made you decide to become an entrepreneur and join the crazy world of entrepreneurship?
So I came into entrepreneurship, I think like a lot of people do, by accident, right? So I was 19 and I had fallen in with a guy who was kind of getting his hands dirty in this internet world. Now, this was 30 years ago, so let's be clear. This was a while ago. And I was really excited about the possibilities of it. And I've been, working in retail and working in a hardware store and doing all kinds of manual labor stuff. And I was just like, this isn't getting it for me. And when I saw what we could do with a computer, I was just like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is the future. And we built one of the first ever e-commerce websites back in the day when an animated GIF took 15 minutes to load. And you were excited about that. Like, you would wait. You would just like, I can't wait to see what this is going to be. And, you know, we were taking PayPal payments in the very early days of PayPal. And we were still getting people sending us, you know, money orders from Sweden and all of that stuff. So that was me dipping my toe into entrepreneurship very early on. I mean, if you really want to get technical, I started charging people $0.25 to watch me sing and dance when I was 5. But my real entrepreneur, like,
Living in your blood since 5.
yes. Oh, yes. Well, my mom was an entrepreneur. My grandpa was an entrepreneur. Like, it's been in our bloodline, but we've always kind of came to it at a place of, you know, I'm frustrated with the world out here that just doesn't match what I'm trying to accomplish. And I had been hit so many times, even by age 19, with, you can't do that. You know, I was in college. I was a freshman. I was studying music. I wanted to be a rock star. So I was going to take composition. And they were like, you're a freshman. You can't be in the composition program, but we have this one class that you can take. So I signed up for that one class. I was the only female. I was the only freshman in a class with, I don't know, 7 or 8 other juniors and seniors. And I outscored all of them on all of our assignments. And I'm like, how is it they can be in the program and I can't? That sense of unfairness, unjustness, burns my toast. And I don't like it when people tell me I can't do something, not because I'm not skilled, but because there's some arbitrary rule that says, no, for people like you, no. And I've bumped up against that so many times when I wanted to record an album. You know, label's not going to pick me up because I don't look like Taylor Swift. And that's fine, but I can sing and I can perform and I can write. So I'm going to go learn how to make an album. I'm going to go learn how to record. I'm going to go learn how to promote the things that I'm doing. So I took college courses in business law. I took college courses in marketing and advertising, and along with all my music classes, because I was like, well, I'm a poor college student. I need to figure this stuff out. And, you know, in the process, you kind of become a jack of all trades, master of some kind of a situation. And that was really how I got started. I was just tired of waiting to be picked, waiting to be discovered. And I'm like, I'm just going to pick myself and I'm going to figure it out and I'm just going to do it. And 30 years later, here we are. I've recorded 3 albums, written 2 books, both of which, you know, hit bestseller statuses for the books, the business books that they are. You know, I've been on stages, I've been on international television, I've toured, I've checked all the boxes that being a rock star to 10-year-old me, you know, when I was 10, that was my goal. And I've checked all the boxes of what being a rock star would mean to me, except for, you know, millions and millions of adoring fans and you know, the fancy cars and the big houses on every island in the world. But as I've gotten closer to 50, I've recognized that those things weren't nearly as important as the boxes that I have checked, right? Like the body of work that I've created, the lives I've been able to touch, the stuff I've gotten to do, the experiences I've been able to have. Yeah, the money I've made along the way too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're very pleased about that as well. And I didn't have to sell my soul, sacrifice my, you know, integrity, compromise my values in order to do the things that I really, really wanted to be about in the world. And I didn't have to wait for other people to be like, yes, Lisa, you are worthy. Come into our world and come be a part of it. I didn't have to wait. I just went out and did it.
So in essence, you either kicked down the door and walked straight into the world, or you're like, your house isn't nice, I'm building it over here, and you built your own little castle, is what I'm getting from.
Yeah. You know, as a mixed race person of color, you hear a lot of, well, for me, I heard a lot of too black to be white, too white to be black, too old, too fat, too this, too that, not enough, too much, not enough since 1975. And so I got tired of that noise when I knew I was capable, when I knew I was qualified, when I knew I could crank out stuff that could compete with anybody else who was on the playing field and no one would give me a chance. And it was like, okay, instead of me trying to get a seat at the table, I'm gonna build my own table and invite the people I want to play with to my table. And then we can all just be there and have a good time.
I love that. That is like the purest form of entrepreneurship, I think, is being able to help other people who are either similar to you or completely different that have no clue what to do, but you're opened up and you're like, come, let me help you.
Yeah.
So reminiscent of a previous guest that we had on the show, Yanni, she said that her aunt, when she was really young, said, you have two disadvantages. You're a woman and you're Black. And I love how you said, I had the same situation, except you're biracial, you're mixed, right? So you have the white people going, "Oh, sorry, you're not white enough. And you have the Black people saying, no, you're not Black enough. And then you're like, the fuck am I? And you're over here going, I'm going to build my table. I'm going to do it my way. Screw the highway because the highway's boring. I love that.
Well, I mean, the highway is crowded, and the highway already has its ideas. You know, I auditioned for The Voice 3 times, and people still stop me and they're like, why don't you audition for The Voice? And I'm like, girl, let me tell you, I have already done that, been down that road, and we are not going back. And here's why. It's a casting call. They are looking for character types. You have to check a box that meets or you have to be so out of the box that there's nothing that can compare to you. They have that one ingenue skinny girl who wants to be the next Taylor Swift. They have that one dude in the cowboy hat who's going to be the next country star. They have that one older woman who can belt. They have that one gospel singer. Like, they've got their characters. And if you don't fit that role, you're not going to get picked. It doesn't matter how good you are. I was in the room with people who had just come off tour with well-known country singers, famous country artists, and they didn't get a call back. And I'm like, well, they're obviously good because they're already on tour. So something else is going on over here in this show that I don't need to play that game. I can play my own game and I can win it on my own terms. And so, you know, I mean, we have to be clear when we go into any arena. I don't care if you're talking about work, family, relationships, business. We have to be clear, what's the end game? What's the real goal here? What are we really trying to achieve? And will getting into that arena help me get there? Because we can get wooed by, oh, we could be on TV. We could do this. Oh, Simon might give me the golden buzzer. And you got to get that far. And what are the hurdles that you have to go through? And how much time is it going to take for you to get through all of those hurdles? Time that, let's talk opportunity costs, that you could be putting somewhere else. You could be working on your album now instead of spending a year on a television program that you're going to get voted off of halfway through. Go do your thing. Stop waiting to get picked. I'm sorry, I keep saying that, but it's like that has been the driving force behind everything that I've done. If I had waited to be picked, I would still be waiting 30 years on. Like, why?
No, I think it's important, something that's really prevalent through the 500 interviews I've been blessed to do on this show, on this podcast, is entrepreneurs don't wait to be picked. We do our own picking. We go out and we're like, we want to do this. This is what we're doing. We pick it and we go full bore into it. Either we were picked last at basketball in high school, you know, or we were never chosen for the star role in the play. And just like you said, like, I chose to do my composition. I did better than them. I just decided to do the album without any of the big musical backing, and success, it came to you.
Yeah.
When you, in essence, grabbing life by the horns makes life happen for you. I want to go back to the first entrepreneurial venture you did, not the 25 cents to sing and dance. We're going to move a little further there.
Well, in time, sure.
Just a smidgen before, after that period of time, because I don't know if anybody listening will be able to charge $1 for their singing, but I want to talk about creating this first e-commerce website.
Sure.
When the internet was still a baby, in essence, when no one had a clue how to make money online, and it was just this weird place of gifts taking 20 minutes to load and listening to, hoping no one calls to disconnect you from the internet.
Right.
And I know some of the audience listening may have no idea what we're talking about, but for those that remember, telephone lines used to be the internet. When you started dabbling and started to see success, minor success, big success, whatever the level of success that you had, how did that change your vision of the world? Because now you're not working in the corporate world. You're not working in a typical 9 to 5. you're getting people from like miles away willing to pay you for something, and you're like, but they don't know who I am. Like, how did that feel? Like, how did your world change at that aspect?
Well, okay, so we do have to go back to when I was a kid, because my mom, the hustler that she was, had this book that was like how to make $1 million in the mail order industry or something like that. And as a teenager, I flipped through that book because I was fascinated, one, by the idea of making millions, because we were a welfare family. I'm like, clearly this book doesn't work, or my mom hasn't read it, you know? So let me read it and let me see. And so I was fascinated by the idea of mail order, but I was also not excited about how cost prohibitive it was, right? Like the barriers to entry in entrepreneurship in the 80s and 90s were a lot higher than they are today. I mean, now you can pick up a phone and build a whole career. And phones did not have cameras back then, and we didn't even have phones we could put in our pockets back then. And it was long, spindly cable that was hooked to the wall, you know? And so a lot has changed. And when I saw that people were coming to the internet and people were willing to build relationships with people they had never met from all points around the world, I was like, I'm free. I can really, truly break the bonds of poverty that I grew up in and build something for myself, for my family, for my future that doesn't rely on the people I know in the neighborhood that I live in, that doesn't rely on how much I can hustle myself. And I'm not building something for somebody else, a la multi-level marketing or direct sales, right? Like I can build my own assets. I can decide what I'm going to price things for. I can write my own marketing copy and talk about what makes this product great or terrible and see who buys it. And I can take their money and I can pay myself and reinvest. And like the sky at that time really seemed limitless. And it was the first time in my life where I felt like I could breathe. And then I realized how much work it is to be an entrepreneur. But I didn't care. I really didn't care at that point, because I was like, after having been in retail, after having been in corporate, and to be full disclosure, I moved across the country a couple of times, and in those moves, I ended up going back into quote unquote regular work at a real job. And every time I did, it was like, oh my God, what have I done? And I would get back to building whatever I had been working on online. And then it was like, okay, this is where I'm going to stay. And about every 10 years, I dip my toe back into the workaday world just to see. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why I own my own business. And I love the freedom and the flexibility and what it's been able to do for me. You know, I told my husband when we met, we were living in Nashville, Tennessee, and he was looking at taking a job out of state. And I'm like, as long as the Wi-Fi is good, baby, I don't care where we live, because I can do this from anywhere. And, you know, we've moved, I don't know, 5 times in 4 years, but I had my business right in my laptop, and I could go anywhere, and I could see my clients, and I could make money, and I was free. I still have that sense of freedom. It's a different kind of work. You know, you put in effort for somebody else's company, you put in effort for your own. I find that the return on resources for something I'm building for myself is infinitely better than I could ever get out of doing something for somebody else. And that's the way businesses are built, right? Like I have team members, they're never going to get as much out of working for me as they will working for themselves. And that's by design. That's how businesses are built. So we have to be honest with ourselves about that. And entrepreneurship's not for everybody. And I did not care. I was like, this is it for me. This gives me so much freedom, the ability to come and go as I please and have the experiences that I want to have and live a life that works for how I'm wired. And I've built my career outside of the creative entrepreneurship things that I do. I've built my career serving clients who get that, right? Like we need to build things that work for how we're wired to work, because that gives us that freedom and it allows us to actually feel successful in the moment versus striving for success somewhere out there in the great beyond. I always tell my clients, success is a destination and you're already there. So look around. And if you don't like what you see, if you don't like what you're experiencing, this is success today. You got to make different choices so that tomorrow's success looks different.
You already dropped them heavy bombs. Already dropped them heavy bombs on this episode, Lisa.
How I do.
Love it. Unapologetically dropping those bombs and changing the way people think. Speaking of the success that people have, like your clients today, they don't like the success. They need to make those changes. Your personal motto is like, don't sell your soul, right? Your dreams without selling your soul. Like, own your dreams. How did you come up with that idea, that philosophy? And is there maybe a client story you can share that kind of emulates how they put that aspect or that mantra into being to become the success they wanted?
Sure. So owning your dreams without selling your soul really came out of my work as a musician, right? As a performing artist, I remember hearing horror stories like Billy Joel getting taken by his manager for so much money. And I'm like, it won't be me. I'm not going to get taken. I'm not going to get screwed. And that idea of selling out, oh, he's a sellout because he took money for that or whatever. And I was like, there has to be a way for us to be able to go do the things we want to do, to live the life we want to live, to really go after our dreams. And I say own your dreams because you have to take ownership of what it is that you want to accomplish, of what it is that, whatever your dreams are. So you have to take ownership. You have to nurture it. You have to care for it. You have to tend to it. And there has to be a way to do that without selling your soul, feeling like you've sold out, feeling like you're constantly living on the hamster wheel of hustle, feeling like you're burned out all the time, right? There has to be a way. And for me, that became my North Star. I want to own my dreams without selling my soul. And as I shared that message with people, other people started coming on board going, yeah, me too. Please, where do I sign up? I'm tired of the hamster wheel. Like, where do I get off? And how do I make this work? And so that's kind of how that happened. And one of the early clients that I had in my business incubator was a therapist who had about a decade of experience, damn good at what they did, like incredibly good, incredibly effective, and worked in a very unique niche with alternative lifestyle relationships, non-monogamy, polyamory, those kinds of things, and had come from a very traditional corporate style background. And so the business cards had the cropped little haircut and the little suit and all of that stuff. And when I talked to them, I was like, this card doesn't look like who you are. And when I met them, they had pink and purple hair, and it was undercut, and it was really funky and poppy and really interesting. And I'm like, this card doesn't look, well, but I'm thinking that maybe if I want to attract clients, I should probably want to, and I'm like, wooba haba haba, Firstly, every time you go get your hair done, it is an event for the people that I see on your social media. Like, they can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Don't take my word for it. Ask them if you should go back to blah, blah, blonde, or if you should keep your funky colors. And the response was overwhelming. Oh my God, no, please, I love your hair. It's this. And while I'm not one to be like, your hair is going to make you or break you, in this person's case, it was really a hallmark of their brand. You know, they would identify themselves as a unicorn. And it was like, okay, if you're going to be a unicorn, you can't be blah. You have to be out there and really stand in and own that. And since then, they've written a book that has basically become the book on building open relationships. They've been approached by multiple producers for television reality shows to be the guest expert on the show. I don't know, I can't speak to what has actually happened contractually, but those things started happening because they stood in the truth of who they are, stopped using she pronouns, and embraced the they them pronouns that more truly reflected who they are as a human being, and continued to shepherd an audience that was rabidly loyal to the person that they were meant to be becoming. Warts, sparkles, and all, right? Like, we have bad days. Those are the warts. We're not perfect, but we can also shine and be incredibly sparkly and fantastic and energetic and alive in our own way. And that's what draws people in, that realness of who we are as a personal brand. And so they didn't have to go back to trying to fit into this little square hole with their little round peg when they were a unicorn horn to begin with.
I love it. I love it. It's when you started this story saying that they were a therapist that fit with the non-monogamous world, and then they had the business card that fit in the monogamous world. I'm like,
Very much so, yeah.
there's no congruency there, you know. And
The
I
disconnect
love
was palpable, yeah.
just a little. And of course, if you're in the non-monogamous world, you're probably not wearing your suit and tie all the time. There's some people that do, and we know in every industry and every world, there's people that fit the regular style, you know, and there's people who don't. But I love how you got them to embrace their true, authentic self. You got them.
Let's be clear. I did not get them to do anything. I just opened their eyes and held up a mirror and said, look at what your people are asking of you. They want you to be more you. And truthfully, especially in that arena, it can be dangerous to be more you. And so you have to take strategic, intentional measures to say, okay, how far can I go and still feel safe enough to be more me in that way, right? There's a lot of danger for folks who are non-normative right now. And we need to be honest about that, right? So I can hold the door open and be like, go on through. But that doesn't mean they will, especially if they don't feel safe. So the first thing we have to do is create an environment of empowerment where they feel safe enough to step into that starring role that is theirs. And this is true for anybody, but especially for people who are in marginalized groups who may not feel safe showing up as themselves fully and completely. And so anytime we have an opportunity to do that, I want to be the person to not only open the door, but say, you know, if you look, it's a lot more fun over there. Like, what do we have to do to get you to feel safe enough to get there? And then they do the work. I just hold the door open and hold up the mirror so that they can see their people are already there waiting for them. Let's go have some fun.
Well, I have to say, you kind of are the poster child, if you will, of living your authentic life, because you've done things to stay true to yourself. You've shown them that, hey, you can live your true self. Yeah, you'll have your warts and you'll have the sparkles, but you get to be your own self. So I think you do kind of force them by showing them the power it is to be your own self. Because look, I'm talking with you and I'm already like, I got to live my true life. I got to be more authentic to who I am.
Yes.
And being the radical when it comes to changing media, because I think podcasting and like YouTube's are the future of the world. Because it gives individuals like ourselves this ability, the marginalized groups, if you will, the ability to create and have that power. Just like you took the power away from, you know, the majority and said, no, I'm going to do it my own way. By first going into the composition as a like a brand new, I believe it's a freshman. I'm sorry, I'm not really good with
freshman. Oh yeah, I was
okay.
Freshman. Yeah,
freshman going into composition, destroying all these people who are in the program and going like, what the fuck? Like I can do better than them. So I think you are maybe not forcefully twisting their arm, pushing them through the door, but by you living your authentic life, you're forcing them to come to terms with that they can be their true self. Which leads me to, how did you invest in yourself to get to that point where you felt comfortable enough to be that big light bringing source to these people, to be able to help them sparkle?
Well, thank you for that. Firstly, I will say I have always been willing to throw myself under the bus and be the guinea pig so that I can then go to my audience and go, here's what I did, here's why I did it. Here's who I think it can work for, and here's who I think it probably won't work for. Because the thing that really gets on my nerves is when someone says, well, if I did it, you can do it too. Maybe, and maybe not, right? Like, I've seen people, I made 6 figures in 6 months, and let me show you how. And the secret to their success was they had a $10,000 limit on their credit card, and they ran a bunch of Facebook ads. I can't do that. Don't have a $10,000 limit on my card. That I just like, right? Like, so we can't always follow somebody else's blueprint or design. And so it becomes important for us to understand the why behind things. And that was me early on. Like, as a poor, broke college student living on welfare, it was like, okay, the library is my friend, and I'm going to check out all the books, and I'm going to read all the books, because this is before we could do all of that stuff on the internet. And, you know, I read ruthlessly. I mean, this little patch of books here is, like boxes and boxes and boxes that have not been unpacked yet. And some that I've read so many times that I'm like, I've got it memorized. I can donate it now, right? Like, books became the resource I could afford to invest in until I couldn't afford to invest. Now, the problem with that, because I really want to be clear, is that I became really good at doing a lot of things myself. I am what I call a fusion creative on the spectrum of creative entrepreneurship. And we're right in the middle between the chaotics, who are very experiential, go with the flow, trust your gut, and the linears, who are very systems, processes, rules, order, structure oriented, right? And so we kind of live with our feet in each world, which means we're good at a lot of things, but we're lousy at asking for help. And because I was lousy at asking for help, I was carrying the weight of doing all the things myself because, it's just faster if I do it myself. And a lot of times it still is faster if I just do it myself, but then I'm still left holding all the things. So what I started to do was take classes and e-courses and trainings, and I was up to my eyeballs in digital pixels of knowledge and learning. I went from library shelves to, all the file folders on my laptop. And then I was like, but I'm still doing all the things and I don't have time. So then I was like, all right, well, maybe I need to invest in hiring a coach so that I can learn how to think about this differently. The problem that I had with that was, at the time, I was giving my power over to my coach and letting my coach be my boss and tell me what I needed to do. Instead of trusting myself, which had gotten me as far as I had gotten, well, I'm paying you 5 figures, so I should trust that you know what you're doing better than I do. No, let me tell you right now, especially in this day and age, in the internet world, there are a lot of people charging 5 and 6 figures who don't know their butt from a hole in the ground, but they've got slick marketing and they can get away with it. And it's all emperor's new clothes. If you are not in a position where I say 3% of your revenue, 3% of your revenue should be your learning and development training budget for the year. If you're spending more than that, you're spending way too much for where you're at in your business. So maximize what you've got and take advantage of whatever's free or freely available until you can grow your budget. But I didn't take that advice because I didn't know it at the time. And I was putting a lot of money out and trusting those people over trusting myself. And it really did my business a lot of harm. And so then I was like, that's it, I'm done. No more coaches, no more nothing. I'm just going to figure it out and do it myself. And then I was right back in the boat that I had started in. I'm doing all the things and I'm buckling under the weight of being the bottleneck in my business. And so I really started to look at capacity and what it means to have a capacity to do the things and a strategy that fits that capacity so that you're doing the right things for you that work for how you're wired to work so that you're not killing yourself all the time. Oh, that thing that I had been talking about for years that I had somehow forgotten about, I was coming back to. And so investing in myself looked like hiring a nanny when my kid was young so that I could actually focus on the work that I needed to do. Hiring a housekeeper to make sure that the house could look decent so that I could focus on what I needed to do. Hiring a VA to make sure that I had somebody else's hands on the business so that if I got sick, stuff was still going to get done. And then when I came to a level of maturity around being coached and being coachable, turning to coaches that I had developed relationships with that I could trust outside of coaching and say, okay, here's the problem I'm dealing with. Help me figure this out, and I will pay you to help me figure this out. Thank you for helping me figure that out. Now I can move on. I never wanted to be a crutch as a coach. I wanted to help people figure something out and get them out the door so they could go live their best life. And I found that, especially in the online world, that was not the case with a lot of the coaches that I was coming into contact with. They were like, drip you out this little thing for $9.97 and then say, oh, but here's the bigger problem that you still need to solve. So for $15.97, you can have this. And then for $15,997, you can have this. And that ascension model, while I think it's valuable when it's used ethically, has become a crutch of its own for these types of business owners who just want to keep upselling, and you're never really getting the full picture. You're never really getting the help that you need, which does a disservice to the entrepreneur. So when I talk about investing in yourself, a lot of it is what's your maturity level as an entrepreneur, and find the investments that match that maturity level so that you're not turning over your power to somebody else who you think knows more than you because they're making more money than you, or have slicker marketing than you, or sound better on a podcast than you, instead of really trusting what's true for you, hearing what they're saying and translating that so that it works for how you're wired to work, instead of living in the shoulds, shoulding on yourself, or letting them should all over you.
Bam. Just freaking blowing minds left, right, and center here, Lisa.
That's how I do.
You're a dynamic star is how I'm going to refer to you, because you're bright and you're destroying everything previously thought of in my mind, which I love because it allows me to see the world differently, and it allows me to come up with different questions for future guests as well. So I love that you're doing this to me. You're destroying the models of the world that I have, and brings me to kind of, how did you become the star of your own niche, the rock star of your niche or niche, if we will, and how you're helping others do the same? Like, how did you decide you wanted to be the rock star of your own niche?
Well, when I was 10, I grew up in Flint, Michigan. There was a band called Ready for the World. If you remember their song, Oh Sheila, that song was hot. And I was like, they're from my hometown. If they can do it, so can I, right? Like, I bought right into that myth. If they can do it, so can I. And it served a purpose at that time. But I always knew from a very young age that I was supposed to be some kind of a rock star on a stage in front of thousands of people, sharing whatever it was I was supposed to be sharing. At 10, I thought it was going to be rock and roll. I know better now. But I've always known that there was something about the way I was built, that I was designed for that kind of a thing. And then it's been decades of doing the work to figure out where my spotlight was for me to stand into it. And this particular iteration of helping other people become the celebrity in their space by having the capacity and the strategy to become the celebrity in their space, because that's really what I do, came out of the work that I had been doing after I wrote my last book, helping people build profitable, sustainable businesses doing what they love, right? So many entrepreneurs, particularly creative entrepreneurs, they're like, I just want to do the thing, man, and make some money at it, man, and that would be great. And they don't understand all of the moving parts and pieces that go into making a business out of their creative, making their creativity their livelihood. You can be creative and not be an entrepreneur, but all entrepreneurs are creative in one way or another, and you have to own that. So if you're going to make your livelihood out of your creativity, how do we do that in a way that's profitable and sustainable for you? And as I was working with clients doing that, there was this small slice of a slice that kept coming to me saying things like, I want to be the Brene Brown of my industry. I want to be the Sherlock Holmes of my industry. The client I talked about earlier said, I want to be the Dr. Ruth of my generation. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. How do we do that? And as I was looking at those clients and myself, and then turned my attention to celebrities in the world, what was it that separated Beyonce from her sister Solange? Both grew up in the same household, both very beautiful, both very talented, both great singers. But we know Beyonce's name a whole lot better than we know her sister's name. What's going on there? And then I looked back in time, and I just researched the hell out of what makes a person a celebrity in their space. A real celebrity, or a celebrity chef, or a celebrity in the plumbing world. I didn't care where the world was. Like, who is the best of the best? Who is the person that everybody looks to, and why? What is it that they've got that other people don't? And the thing that I found out was they don't have anything that we don't have, except that they've learned how to turn the dials so that it works for them. There are basically 9 things that come down to clarity, confidence, and courage. You got to be clear on who you are, what you're going after, what the world really means to you, what you're trying to bring into it. And that clarity gives you the confidence to take courageous actions. So you can make confident decisions and take courageous actions. And it's always in that order. You get clarity, you get confident enough to make a decision, and then you take courageous action. Now, I said courageous. not massive. We hear that a lot in the online world. Gary Vee and Tony Robbins talk about take massive action. You know what? Sometimes the most courageous action you can take is to go take a nap because your body is worn out and you need to rest, right? We have to be willing to look at the world and make the decisions that are in our best interests without causing harm to everybody else around us, right? Like there's doing things that are purely selfish at the detriment of the world. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing the things that are right for us, that are in integrity for us, and do that regardless of what other people are saying. Oh, you're divorcing your husband and you're leaving your kid in Michigan so that you can move to Nashville, Tennessee? What kind of a mom are you? I'm the kind of mom who understands that my kid is in a really good program. His dad's going to take really good care of him, and I don't want to screw that up. So I'm going to go and he's going to stay and we're going to be all right. And you get flack for that. But if you stand in what's true for you and you honor what's true for you, those voices fall away after a while because you've proved them wrong. And so for me, when I'm helping my clients, it's about, okay, what do we need to get clear on? What are the decisions that you need to make, and how do we make them with confidence so that you can go take the actions that you need to take to move in the direction of your dreams and achieve those dreams? Now, the people that I primarily work with are folks who want to be in that spotlight as a celebrity in their niche, but that process applies to everybody. I've worked with people who just want to have enough money to leave corporate America and be able to travel. I've worked with people who wanted to take months off from their, business and have the business run by itself. And I've worked with people who want to be the Dr. Ruth of their generation. So the process works regardless of what the goal is. I just happen to target the folks who have said, I can't explain it. But ever since I was little, I've just known in my bones, I'm supposed to be on Oprah's stage or singing at Carnegie Hall or being in some big movie or being on a TV show or whatever being in that magazine. It doesn't matter what the box is that they want to check. They just know in their bones that that's something they're supposed to do. And they don't know how to get there because of everything else that's been going on for them. And I sit down with them and I go, okay, here's what's going on in your life that we have to account for. Here's where you want to get to. Here's what's going to happen in order for you to get there. Are you willing to do that? Yes, no. And if the answer is yes, then they start taking action because they have clarity on what they need to do. And if the answer is no, then they go on their merry way and we don't work together anymore. That's just kind of how that works. But I mean, I say that because every choice we make has a consequence, right? And we have to be willing to accept the consequences of the choices that we make. And sometimes when you really look at it and you go, oh my gosh, I really wanted to hit 6 figures this year, but I also want to have a baby by the end of the year. That's going to be a lot of work. Maybe I need to adjust my timeline if I want both of those things. Or maybe I need to let go of one of those things so that I can have the other one for now, right? Like we have to get clear on that. And so often as entrepreneurs, we don't have that clarity. We are carrying all of our dreams in this big bubble over our heads. And it's, kind of making us float from one side to the other and we're kind of off balance, but it's all still up there. And until we get it all down and we can really look at what's there, then we can go, okay, this is the path that's going to work for me. It might not have worked for Beyonce. It might not have worked for Sally down the street, but this is the path that's going to work for me to get me where I want to be. And that's what I love doing, is helping them clear the decks and get absolute clarity on the milestones they need to reach and what needs to happen along the way to those milestones so that they can ultimately become whatever it is they want, particularly if they want to be the celebrity in their niche.
Love it. I'm definitely going to be re-listening to this whole section because I'm pretty sure I missed at least a good dozen parts that's going to help me get more clarity on my role and become more of a celebrity. Lisa, you just changed it. I was not expecting any of this. I'm going to be honest with my audience here and yourself. I was reading over your bio and rereading the intro. I was not expecting to have my mind blown so many times in this episode, Lisa. And I'm very disappointed that the episode's coming to an end because I want my mind to continue to be blown. But Lisa, I'm going to shift gears to my 2 final questions. One is, where do you see yourself in the next decade? I snap my fingers, we're a decade in the future. What is Lisa doing? What stage is she dominating? What area is she changing the ideas from? Like, what is Lisa doing?
Well, 10 years from now, I'll be almost 60. And it kind of hurts to say that. And I'm really clear that I'll be doing a lot more traveling. I'll be doing more retreats and on more stages, reaching into the lives of people on a much bigger scale. By that time, the new radio show that I'm developing for our NPR affiliate here in town will have a pretty massive audience nationwide. And, that's going to elevate everything that I've been doing to a completely different plane. And there's just going to be more people coming out of the woodwork wanting to get at me. So in addition to the things that I'll be doing, I'll be saying no a lot more too, because it's about staying in alignment. And I look forward to being able to say no a lot more with love, because we really have to get clear on what's best for us and our forward direction. By 60, my husband will be getting close to 70, and he's going to be long retired. Like, that's the 2-year goal, is to get him retired. And so I want to be able to spend time with him and know that my business can just run, and I can just be the figurehead who shows up and waves and speaks and inspires and sets people on fire, and they get to go do amazing things either with my company or on their own path that works for them.
Well, I'm guaranteeing that dream is probably going to come faster than the 10 years happen. And I think it's probably going to be probably like 2 years.
Your lips from your lips.
Lisa, now we went 10 years in the future. We're going to go back to when you were 10 years old, who you're charging people a nickel to dance and sing, or to 25 cents. Let's be honest, you're probably worth $1 back and it's only increased in prices. However, I have your 10-year-old self here. What's a piece of advice you would love to be able to hand back to your 10-year-old self that you've learned over your lifetime?
So there's 2 things. One is my favorite quote of all time is from Judy Garland, and she says, "It's better to be a first-rate version of yourself than a second-rate version of someone else." But then I would also say, there are going to be a lot of people in your lifetime who are going to tell you no and not have a good reason other than because I said so. And you need to say, okay, thank you, be respectful, and then go do your thing, because you are capable of so much more, even at 10, than anybody else can fathom if you truly focus on and believe in the gifts that you've been given to take to the world. And if you're doing that in service of the world, your world, then you can only win. No matter how hard it seems, you can only win.
Lisa, you're cool. I'm blown away, Lisa, because both the quote from Judy Garland, that is an amazing quote that I think I need to get plastered somewhere, because I think it's foundational for people, but also the advice. One, being polite. Of course, you always have to be polite, but also just saying, okay, you don't like it, I'm going to still do it anyways, I think is amazing advice, not only for a 10-year-old, but for adults should learn that, because not everybody should tell us what we can and can't do in this world.
I should add a caveat. Keep it legal.
Of course. Always legal.
I'm just going to go do it anyway. Like, I don't want to see you in prison, man. But like if you've got that thing in your heart and it's really calling to you and all the voices around you are saying no. Disney built Disneyland in a swamp. Everybody said no, you're nuts, it's a swamp. And I mean, it's $1 multi-billion-dollar enterprise today that has changed the lives of millions and millions of people, all because he said, screw you guys, I'm doing it in the swamp. So
it's true. If Disney can be built on a swamp, anything is possible. And that's truly the definition of the imagination is powerful. Lisa, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let my audience know how they can get connected with you if they're looking to be the celebrity in their niche. They're looking for another positive-filled conversation to get the clarity that they need. So I'm going to jump off stage here. Please let them know how they can follow you, connect with you, and everything in between.
Absolutely. The best way, the easiest way to find me is I am at Lisa Robbin Young on like all the socials. Robin has 2 B's. But you can also come to my website. You can take the free assessment there. LisaRobbinYoung.com. Again, Robin has 2 B's, and learn where you fall on the creative entrepreneur type spectrum. You don't even have to opt in. It's just free. Go find out more about yourself so that you can start building something that really works for how you're wired to work. And then engage with me. Reach out to me. Let me know you took the quiz. Let me know you visited the website, watched a video, listen to this podcast. I love to have conversations with people. I'm all about helping as a coach, not just people become better business owners, but become better humans. Like, I want us to be better people so that we can do more good in the world.
Freaking love it. Oh my God. I'm so glad we had this conversation, Lisa. I am going to be 100%. I am like putting this into my system to get the transcript so I can read it right after we're done. I'm downloading it, uploading it as soon as possible, because I'm guaranteeing that I miss at least a good 24 thought processes from this conversation with you, Lisa. I thank you so much for coming on to the show and being an amazing guest.
Thank you for having me. This has been an absolute thrill. Thank you.
To my audience, make sure you check out the show notes down below, because that's where you can connect with Lisa. Make sure that you take that free assessment, contact her on her social medias, because I'm guaranteeing if you got anything from this episode, you will get a ton more from contacting and interacting with Lisa. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Lisa, for being here. And as always, remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.